All right, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Complete Game Podcast. I'm your host, Casey Guerin. If you haven't listened to our last few episodes, be sure to go do that. We have some cool fantasy football stuff going on right now. Some post NFL draft fantasy football winners and losers. If you didn't catch our other episode with CJ Gonzalez, that was a really fantastic episode. Please go listen to that one. CJ put a lot of hard work and time into that and took the time out of his day to come on the podcast and talk about that. So going forward with the podcast a little bit, Wednesdays are going to be more fantasy football stuff, and Saturdays I'm going to try and have some guests on and talk about a lot of guest experiences and things that can help athletes and go into some of the experiences of athletes that I've come to know over the years that have some pretty cool stories. And I think it's going to be really awesome to kind of share experiences of the kids that I've met and the people that I've met along my road being a college athlete and just being an athlete in general. So today is going to be a really special one. They're all special ones. Anybody that comes on here is going to be a special episode. So today we're talking with Kaiden Zacharias, who's back on for a second appearance, and we have Zarley Cina, who also went to East Stroudsburg with our last guest, CJ Gonzalez, another East Stroudsburg guy. Kaiden currently plays at Asbury University in Kentucky, and they both share something in common. They're both Canadian born. They both live in Canada currently. They've been in Canada their whole lives, and they play or have played college baseball in America. So the big thing we're going to cover today and what we're going to talk about, I just want to let them share their experiences. I thought it would be really awesome to let them share their experience of how they grew up playing baseball when maybe baseball might not be the most popular sport. Maybe it's hockey. It's usually hockey in Canada. So I want to get their point of view, what it was like growing up being more baseball guys and looking into going to America to play college baseball. So we're going to go into that. We're just going to go through some of their experiences, some of the things that they've went through, some differences, some similarities, how they feel the game is improving in Canada, how baseball is growing in Canada. And I think it's going to be a really cool episode. So please listen, please share it. Please share it everywhere and leave a good review. These guys are going to they're going to give their time. These guys are giving their time to come on here and do this. So it's going to be a really special episode. I'm really excited for it. So let's get into it. Kaiden, if you kind of just want to go ahead and introduce yourself again. I know you were on before, but the last time you were on, it was called the Casey Guerin Sports Podcast, and we have since changed our name to the Complete Game Podcast. So Kaiden, go ahead. Just introduce yourself a little bit. Say whatever you want to say.
Well, it's good to be on the Complete Game Podcast for the first time, and not the Casey Guerin Podcast. I'm from Lloydminster, Alberta, Canada. I played baseball with these guys at NCCC, like you said, and now I'm at Asbury University in Kentucky, just outside Lexington.
Zarley, introduce yourself.
How's it going? Casey, thanks for having me on. I'm Zarley from Kitchener, Ontario, up in Canada. I went to NCCC with Casey and Kaiden. And then I went to East Stroudsburg University for 2 years after that.
Yeah, so Kaiden, he's been making a name for himself at Asbury. He's an on-base machine since I've known him. All the kid does is get on base. He's clutch. He's had a lot of clutch hits for Asbury so far in only a year and a couple weeks, a year and change with the COVID-19 pandemic. Zarley is currently the all-time leader in hits at NCCC. He went to East Stroudsburg, and he must have kept lifting weights. He was a doubles machine. He had over 10 home runs at East Stroudsburg in his last 2 years there. They're both studs, both great buddies of mine. And we're just going to get into a little bit of interview style, talking about just their experiences from being Canadian born and playing in America and playing college baseball in America. So we'll just go we'll go Kaiden to Zarley. So we'll start with Kaiden and then go to Zarley. So starting off with Kaiden, just kind of talk about how you grew up loving baseball in Canada, where baseball might not always be the most popular sport, and how you developed a love for baseball.
I mean, yeah, like you said earlier, hockey's definitely the most popular thing to be doing around here, especially because it's cold all the time. You only get maybe 3 months to play baseball during the year. But it was probably around middle school where I took a deep liking to baseball, and I just started liking that a lot more than my other sports. My dad had a big influence on me. He was really good in high school, had some interest from the Atlanta Braves. So he really wanted me to pursue that path, and it just kind of worked out that I ended up being a little bit better at baseball. And just some things happened along the way that weren't really planned. I started to like my school sports more than I liked hockey, and I couldn't do both. And then I found out I could do baseball somewhat during the winter along with my school sports. So then I was able to do baseball more, and I got better and better, and eventually started to fall in love with baseball.
All right, Zarley, same question. So kind of just talk about growing up loving baseball, like when you started to love baseball, when you kind of realized like maybe baseball is the path that I want to take instead of playing hockey.
Yeah, so I actually got into baseball when I was really young, around 4 years old. My dad put me into baseball, and ever since then, at that point, I fell in love with it right away. I grew up for the rest of my childhood playing it, and started playing travel ball as I got older, and I played it every year growing up. And then when I got to about 14 years old, I figured, hey, baseball was the sport I wanted to do, and picked that over hockey right away. Just I had a love for the game from an early age, so it's pretty easy for me to choose.
Yeah, so you guys both kind of had parental influence towards baseball, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
so
yeah.
you guys kind of had some like a parent to show you that baseball was an awesome sport. Now, do you guys know any kids that like maybe their parents didn't want them playing baseball and they ended up liking baseball? If not, it's no big deal. Just like anybody that maybe like wasn't influenced to play baseball that picked it up and was like, you know what, like I really like this sport. I wish I would have started earlier or something like that.
Uh, uh, I played with one guy. I'm not going to name names, but his dad was a pro hockey player. He played NHL for a while, and he found a love for baseball over hockey. Dead honestly, ended up
Yeah, I
going
think
to a
those things are
school in
kind of
Illinois. He
gotcha.
ended up
Yeah,
going
I
to a
think
school
those things are
in Illinois.
awesome. Yeah, I like hearing those kind of stories. I like hearing stories, not even just from Canadian born kids, but just from anywhere in the world when like baseball might not be the most popular sport and kids start baseball and fall in love with baseball because it really is a great game. Baseball's an awesome game and you kind of have to start playing it to realize like any sport. Once you start playing baseball, you kind of realize how great of a game it is. And I just like hearing stories about how kids come to find the game and come to learn about the game and how they got their start in baseball. Kind of, I like to hear everyone's story about how they started to fall in love with baseball. So I like to hear those stories. So Kaiden, going back to Kaiden, so when did you first realize that you wanted to play college baseball in America? When did you start getting recruited? When did you start looking to college baseball in America? Just talk a little bit about the process of finding a school in America and how that went down. Just how you said, like, you know what, I want to play college baseball and I want to go play in the States.
Well, for me, I honestly didn't think about playing college baseball until early on in my senior year of high school. After my junior year, I had a friend who went to this academy called Badlands Baseball Academy, and he went there. He loved it, and I just loved the idea that I could go somewhere and play baseball all year round and travel around North America playing baseball and just focus on that. So when I got there, all of a sudden it was like October and we were inside because of snow. And my head coach came up to me and he goes, "Hey, give me a list of some schools that you want to go play college at, and we'll work on trying to get you some connections." And in my head, I was like, whoa. Like college baseball? Like, I can go do that? And he's like, "Yeah, put together a list, and then we'll go over it." So basically, I went home the next day, came up with a list of like 30 schools. I tried to be realistic. Like I knew I wasn't going to go Div 1, so I had a bunch of JUCOs. I threw in like a couple bottom end D1s, a couple bottom end D2s, just to see what they would say. And he also had a list of just like some of his friends that he had that were college coaches, and we sat down, sent out emails together, and just worked on communicating with coaches. And Coach Klingersmith there, he was one of my coach's friends, and he got back to him right away, and he was interested because I also had a couple of friends who went to N-Trip before me. So he was willing to take me on, but I wanted to go see the school and like see what it was like. So I went down there, and I had a little practice with the team. I was actually working out at shortstop at the time. That didn't last too long. That's where he had me. And when I was down there, I tried to hit up other schools. So I went to GCC as well, and it was a little weird because I went there and their coach was like, if your head coach's word is good enough that you can play here, then I don't need to see a practice. So it's just kind of interesting seeing the two coaches differ on their views. But yeah, that's how it went for me. And then Kling sent me a letter of intent to sign in late April, I think.
Yeah, that's an awesome story. I like that you had somebody to sit down with you and kind of go over schools. Not a lot of kids really excuse me, not a lot of kids really have that, someone that will sit down with them and kind of show them the process. That's really awesome, and it's cool that you live in Alberta and ended up on the East Coast here in Niagara County, and then in Kentucky, in the East Coast over here. It's, I don't know, things just work out crazy like that. Like it's awesome. We're best friends now, and you live so far away. And don't worry, I'll get up there eventually to visit up there for sure. Yeah, that was really awesome. I think it's really cool, just the process of how you were like, how you said like, oh, really, like college baseball? That's cool. Like I want to do that. And then you sat down with your coach and you were talking, and you listed out some schools, and just the process of how you decided like I want to go play in America, like some legit college baseball. And that was a really awesome story. So thanks for sharing that. Zarley, up to you, buddy. Do you need me to repeat the question?
So, yeah, if you don't mind.
All right. So when did you kind of realize that you wanted to play college baseball in America? When did you start getting recruited? When did you start looking into college baseball? Just talk about the process of finding a school in America, and how you kind of made that decision that you wanted to go play college ball in the States.
All right, so yeah, when I was 15 years old, I joined a travel ball team, the Ontario Terriers. They're a pretty acclaimed travel ball team up here in Ontario. Uh, they've had guys like Cal Quantrill and some other pro guys come through the program, but at the travel ball program, they were very high on getting guys to the next level and moving them on to college. So as soon as I got into the program, I found out about it, and I figured it was something I wanted to pursue as soon as I got into the program. So over the course of a couple of years, I stayed focused on development and getting you ready for the next level. And by 17 year, when I was 17 years old, they started getting us into looking at schools, doing research, telling us what we should look for in a program, what best suits each player, kind of thing, and started sending us to showcases and that. I personally didn't go to many, but I know a lot of guys did. we also got a ton of exposure playing in the U.S. So local tournaments, like there were tournaments in Buffalo we went to, Nashville, Missouri, all that to get exposure for us. So by 17U, I started to look, and my 18U year was when I started getting recruited. So out of high school, I wasn't the biggest guy either, so I didn't actually personally have a lot of options. Coach Klingersmith actually saw me at a showcase, and he said he really wanted me to come down, take a look at the school, and the other place I looked at was Brockport, actually, in New York as well. But because of how Coach Klingersmith showed the end trip and talked me up about the school and how successful the program was, I decided to come down and sign my letter of intent and came to end trip.
Yeah, us three, we know how hard it is to say no to that guy. So
It really is.
it's hard to say no to that guy. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's really cool. Just another awesome point. Just going through the process, talking about the process of like, you know what, I want to play at a higher level, so I'm going to go play in the States. I think that's really awesome. Just that you guys shared that kind of process and how you made that decision. So going back to Kaiden, so what are the biggest differences between baseball in Canada and baseball in America? Just be as general or specific as you want. Just some major differences, anything that you've experienced.
Well, I think one of the things is just how intense conference play specifically is in college baseball in the States, because like up here in Canada, you just play the same teams the whole time. It's not like there's two different parts of the season. So when you go down to school and you are playing all these teams from wherever that really don't mean that much towards your conference kind of thing, it's like, yeah, these games are exciting, they mean something. But then as soon as you hit conference, it's just like a switch flips and the intensity just goes way up. And I don't know, that's something I really like about playing baseball down there, because once college hits, it's like everyone's on a new level kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, conference play is crazy no matter what level of baseball you play at. You have your rivals. There's always rivalry, conference series. There's always those kind of things. Every game means something. So yeah, that's definitely a cool difference. How important conference play is down here and just how intense it gets. Zarley, what are some differences between Canadian baseball growing up and American baseball?
So, a couple things. I don't know if it's the same for Kaiden, but
Yeah, share your thoughts. And
but
if you guys at any point kind of want to go back and forth, this is for you
yeah,
guys. So
no,
if you guys want to bounce off each other or whatever, go right ahead.
sounds good. But yeah, so high school ball is one of the major differences I've noticed. So in Canada, if you want to go to the U.S., you got to find yourself a travel ball team, whether it be Ontario Terriers, Toronto Mets, OBJ kind of thing. In my case, but high school ball doesn't exist where I'm at. We have high school slow pitch, so in order to move on to the next level, you got to find yourself a travel ball team. Play
Yeah, I
at.
don't got high school baseball over here either.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's the content I'm looking for here. That's good stuff right there.
Yeah, I actually had high school slow pitch to play. I didn't have baseball, so um, yeah, you got to find yourself a travel ball team to play for, and but upon like with the travel ball, it's not much different. Like we played travel ball teams in the U.S. and they were real similar to how we played, but the other thing is like with college baseball up here, it's very compacted. Like Kaiden said, like you only have 3 months of the year to get it all done. Actually, it's even just a month in the year to get it all done, right? Because the way our semesters are structured, so they gotta compact the season into one small season right away and get it all done. While in the U.S., it's over the course of the whole year. It's a grind. And
Well, I think you get those schools out by you there, like Brock and
yeah,
all those schools.
that's
They play in the
yeah,
fall.
yeah. They play in the fall, so they only have their fall season, and that's their whole season kind of thing.
Yeah, like
It's not as
out here, there's like all the colleges like kind of like just do scrimmages against themselves in the fall, and then in the spring they usually start up around April-ish, and there's like 15 teams I think that play against one another in the spring.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you said they kind of just play this. You play the same teams over and over again.
Yeah, there's one team
yeah,
they go on a little tour to like Arizona and back, or maybe there's a couple teams, but for the most part they all just play like a 25 game season against each other and then have a
yeah,
bracketed playoff.
yeah.
See,
That's pretty
that's
similar to
interesting.
us.
That's super
Yeah,
interesting. I like to hear about that
oh,
stuff.
we only have so much time up here, right? Because of the winters up here. So just the
Yeah,
way the
there's only
semester
so much time for baseball there.
Yeah, you can't be playing
exactly.
baseball in Edmonton in February.
No.
Oh, oh,
All right. So moving forward. So what's all right? This one you guys are gonna. This is gonna be a little bragging. It's gonna be a little cockiness here because I've heard it a million times from you guys. So what's the biggest difference between school in Canada and American style schooling? Kaiden?
Like just school or like baseball stuff?
Just like the style of school, just academics.
I mean, personally, I think Canadian schools are a lot more difficult than American schools, especially when I came to N-Trip. Like, especially my first year there, everything kind of felt like I was in middle school again, honestly. And
Is
then,
oh god.
like, here, universities don't start until like the first or like second week of September, and then they're done in like April. So it feels like we're learning a lot of old stuff that I learned before until um, like junior year, basically, where I start to learn more content and stuff that I actually hadn't learned before. And then you're doing it over a larger period of time rather than just like a couple months.
Is there any kind of difference in the style, like classrooms, professors, like the way that you learn?
All the
Just
schools
like
I know have like 800-person classrooms.
in
yeah,
America or
In
Canada?
Canada, like all my friends are in like lecture halls with like 800 other kids, and they'll be like, and I'll tell them how like my professors like keep attendance and whatnot, and they're like, my professors can't even tell if I'm there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
That's what it's like over here, anyways.
Yeah, for college for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zarley, some
yeah.
differences
I'd
between
say
school here and school there.
U.S. Schooling is more like they focus more on their athletics. I find. Well, I wouldn't say more, but they're more athletic driven.
Yeah.
Whereas Canada, they're more education driven kind of thing. So we have our sports, but they're not put up on a. They're not made as big as U.S. sports are. Like you won't see anything like Alabama football up here in Canada
Yeah, I agree
ever.
with that.
Yeah, like
Canadians are
here.
also a lot less like they're a lot less intense about their college sports. Like no one's like, oh, I gotta go watch the University of Ottawa football game. It's not like that. It's
Wow,
like
I disagree with that personally because over in Ontario, our football games get pretty exciting.
I mean,
Like,
so do ours here, but it's not like if I'm over here, I'm not gonna be able to watch Laval play someone out there in football. Like I
oh,
can turn on the
yeah,
TV and watch Alabama get smoked by Joe Burrow,
yeah, that's a good point.
and it's just super intense. Like that's $1 billion business basically.
Yeah,
And not that they don't get fans at our football games at our universities, but it's nothing like it is down there.
no,
I'd say it's more
Charlie,
like
you guys have the
Michigan.
Argonauts.
Toronto Argonauts?
Yeah, it's the kings of the CFL.
Oh, come
Oh,
on.
no,
Barely.
not lately. Not lately.
Maybe historically by like 2 Grey Cups.
This year they were real bad. It's all about the Stampeders right now.
Is
Nah,
that
go
the team to
Eskimos,
beat?
man. Go Eskimos.
Gotta
Honestly,
love
anyone
it. Gotta
but the
love the
Rough
CFL
Riders.
talk.
Anyone but the Rough Riders.
Who's that? Saskatchewan?
Yeah, their fans are just the worst.
I'm actually a Winnipeg fan for CFL, so
Really.
What are they? Blue Bombers?
Yeah.
yep. Blue
So,
Bombers.
like, are those games? Are those like big things there? Like, I know you said people don't really obsess over sports the way they do here,
They're
but
they're they're big actually. The CFL games get pretty crowded. I went to a
Yes, yeah.
Hamilton Ticats game that was sold out earlier this year. Well,
didn't one of
actually, it was
you
last year, but
didn't one of you see Johnny Manziel there?
I went to the game when they were in Edmonton, but he didn't even play. That was the only reason I went. I didn't see him.
Oh, because he was in Hamilton, which is like right over the border here in Niagara Falls. It's like an hour over the border, and that's what team he was on, right? Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Yeah, at the time he was, and he came in, and I didn't know how long he was going to be there, but I was like, I want to go. I want to see him play.
He never
And
played.
he just sat on the sidelines the whole time.
Unbelievable. Yeah, that's pretty cool though. Just I don't know. I got to get to a game. I got to go to a game soon. I got to go to a Hamilton game or a Toronto game because it's close.
Hamilton's probably 40 minutes from you, Case.
Yeah, it's only like 45 minutes. It's really not that far.
I do like that I can go watch a CFL game though and wear shorts.
Because it's in the summer.
Yeah, when we went to that Patriots game a couple years ago, and I just froze my ass off.
Mm-hmm.
Like I enjoyed it, but it was so cold.
Yeah, freezing. Most of them are freezing. All right, so next question, moving forward from a little CFL talk there. So baseball, baseball is a game where it's kind of the same no matter where it's played. It's an awesome game like that where the rules don't really change no matter where you play it, no matter who you are, no matter where you're from. No matter your social status, any of those things, baseball's kind of the same game no matter where you are, no matter who you are. And I think that's one of the best parts about baseball. And I think that's why we all kind of fell in love with baseball. So, however, contradicting that, if there was one difference from the Canadian style of baseball, like just any one thing that's different from the American game, something from Canada that you could bring to America, like baseball wise, what would it be? Like if there's some difference you could bring from the Canadian style of baseball to the American style of the game, what would it be? Something maybe that you kind of you liked about the way things were in Canada that maybe it's not like that in America that you would want to bring over and start implementing into American baseball.
I mean, I'm not sure if I see anything like style-wise that'd be completely different.
Just anything.
I mean, I do notice a lot of the time that like guys on my team will be wearing like full face masks when it's like 45, 50 degrees outside. And I'm like, come on, buddy. Like I've played in like 18 degrees Fahrenheit. Like it's not that bad. But also I noticed there's a lot of like freshmen or like new people that come to the team. And that's not everybody, but I've seen it a lot where there's guys that come in and they're like super entitled and they think that like these starting roles and all of this should just like be given to them. And when I played in Canada, there was like none of that. Like when you came to a new team, it was like, all right, I got to work to earn something. Not that those guys that act entitled don't work hard aren't good. It's just something I've noticed a lot.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for with the question. Just anything that maybe you've seen in America or that not that you don't like, but something in Canada maybe that you loved about baseball there that you would want to bring over and change about American baseball.
other than complaining about the cold, honestly, the way the way that the game has changed over time up in Canada, it's gotten so much bigger, and we've modeled it so much after the way you guys play it. Like guys have gotten bigger and stronger here in Canada, and we're producing more and more high level baseball players. It's hard to see if there's any like particular style or anything that Canada has different compared to US in that sense,
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
right?
Yeah, I was just kind of thinking along the lines of, I don't know, just like the way teammates interact, the way you interact with your coaches, things like that, that maybe might be different.
Um, I don't honestly I don't notice much different. To be completely honest,
Yeah, so it's mostly the same.
yeah,
The
mostly
only
the
Okay.
thing I
same.
can think of is pretty much every team I played on in Canada, I never like really called my head coach. I just always like called him like Jeff or whatever his name was. And I know with Kling, it was a little different. Like he's like, I'm coach, and you say yes sir, and like when he was ticked at me, like yeah, I'm like yes sir. But
Hmm.
if I saw Kling in the weight room, I'd be like sup. I wouldn't be sup coach. I'd be like what's up Kling, like how you doing, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then at my school now, like I always call him coach, so it's just kind of interesting. I see that difference. How like coaches in the states are always like, hey, like I'm coach until you graduate, kind of thing. And
Yeah,
here, like
just like
it was always like like just call me Jeff. Like that's my name.
yeah, it was more of like a friendly, like open kind of relationship,
Yeah,
as opposed to like I'm like your boss or your superior, like you need to respect me kind of thing.
yeah. And not that my coaches have made me like feel like underneath them. It's just they want that respect that they are your coach.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense, definitely. Yeah, I was just it was kind of a general, it wasn't a very specific question. I was just wondering if there was any sort of differences between the game there and the game here. So those were some good things. I'm glad you guys could come up with some stuff for that. So, Canadian baseball, like you guys just said, it is definitely growing a lot larger now. Baseball is growing in Canada for sure, which is really cool to see. I'm glad the game is starting to grow there. So, if you could give advice or some sort of message to younger Canadians that want to choose baseball, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that there are so many opportunities to go play baseball at the next level. Like I've seen so many guys who have been good at baseball and then just back out because they're not getting any interest from anyone in the states and they don't know how to go about finding those schools and they just don't want to play like in Alberta, for instance. They don't want to go play at the school called Lethbridge, um, just because it's something to go do. Like I had one friend I played with for many years, and he's probably one of the best ball players I've ever seen. He pitched, played center field, dropped nukes, and like he definitely should have went to a Division One out of high school. Um, but he just never really saw any opportunities to go anywhere, and he just never really looked anywhere. And I have lots of friends who just don't know where to find the opportunities. So I would just tell those kids looking for that next level to go look, reach out, and like even if a coach, like if you email a coach, like the worst thing he's gonna do is not answer or say no. And like you personally don't know the coach anyway, so what does it really matter?
Yeah,
But yeah, like
definitely.
there's three divisions of NCAA, there's NAI, and then three levels of JUCO. Like find a way to get your foot in the door because there's so many opportunities to go play.
Sorry, you're up, pal.
Yeah,
If you
no,
could give
that's
advice
good.
to younger Canadian kids that want to choose baseball, what would it be?
I would say try to get yourself out there because as a Canadian, we don't get as much exposure as you Americans do, right? Because we're not over there all the time, right?
Yeah,
We have our
exactly.
we have our we have our tournaments, we have the showcases we can go to, but when it comes to league play, that's where we are. So I would say get yourself out there, make yourself noticed by coaches. Email, contact any coaches you can. If do your research, find the school that you feel is right for you. Just like Kaiden said, there's plenty of stuff out there. There's plenty of opportunity. You just got to make sure you get yourself out there to allow yourself that opportunity, right?
Yeah, and that's why.
Because I know for me, I made that mistake. I didn't get myself out there as much as I could have. No, don't get me wrong. Where I ended up was the perfect location for me, and it gave me the best opportunity to succeed. But if you don't get yourself out there, you're not going to find the opportunities you're looking for.
Yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to do this. I wanted to I hope I can get this out there to Canada a little bit and try and share it as much as I can to kind of give Canadians advice, just any sort of advice on how they can grow their baseball career. And there's a lot to be learned from even American kids that listen to this too. Like, it's already hard enough as it is to find a school for American kids, but I think, and a little bit of what you kind of said about entitlement earlier, Kaiden, I think a lot of kids here don't realize that there's an entire country of kids right above us that want the same thing that they want, and they don't realize that there's a whole bunch of other kids that also want to play college baseball here. So I think it's really awesome how you guys talked about just reaching out, like finding schools. Those are some really good points you guys made, and I'm glad you guys said those things. So just going forward, just the last few questions here. I kind of want to just leave it up to you guys to talk about whatever you want, but I just want to ask like one or two more questions. So let's just talk about kind of fitting into a new culture, a new environment, a new way of playing. You leave your home country, you're going to a school in another country. Like how easy or hard is it to kind of adapt, to fit in? Just kind of along those lines, like you're going to a new country, you don't know anybody, you're meeting all new people. Almost everybody is going to be American. So, I mean, you guys got lucky that you were both Canadian, so you guys could kind of share some experiences together. But kind of talk about going somewhere where maybe you're the only Canadian there. So just talk about kind of adapting and fitting in, how to fit into a brand new culture, how to fit into a new country, and just speak a lot about that if you can.
Well, for me personally, it was definitely lonely for a little while when I first got there, because even though Zarley here was also my brother in red and white, he was just as far away from me as my school was, basically. So I was basically just there all by myself for a while, but luckily I had a couple of good roommates in Trace Gillis and Michael Ciccarone there. And it was like an instant bond with those guys. So it was just kind of tough getting there, especially to like a junior college where a lot of guys were local. So like half the team basically knew each other, excluding this like the sophomores. Like all the half the freshmen basically had some knowledge about the other guys that were coming in. So I just tried to like get into like almost any conversation I could. Like even when I first got there and I weighed 160 pounds and was 5'7", and I'd walk up to Christian Young and have some type of conversation with him, I'd spend my whole time looking up like this. But like I just tried to connect with as many people as I could. So that when I was outside of baseball and just like hanging out in my room, I had no problem reaching out to different guys in the team to go like hang out or just like go get groceries, like not by myself, stuff like that.
Yeah. So your way of like overcoming that is just by trying to get to know as many people as you can. Try and reach out to everybody as much as you can.
Because eventually you're gonna find like some good friends. Like I came across you two guys, and I can't remember how many countless conversations we had with like Joe Milkowski talking about the letter Z. Like I can hear those conversations in my head still to this day.
I went my entire freshman year not understanding it, and finally understood it the year after, I think.
Funny story about the letter Z. So my first day, so we do the move-in day at N-Trip where we move in all the new students, and the team captain asked everybody for their name and their cell number to make a group. I go up to him. I said, "My name's Zarley." He asked me how to spell it. First letter, I say Z. He looks at me. He's like, "What the heck is a Z?" I'm like, "Oh, jeez. I meant the letters." I had to tell him, I'm like, "I meant the letter Z." He's like, "Oh yeah, you're the Canadian kid."
uh,
First,
see, you're the Canadian kid. What a
first,
response.
first thing, first thing I had when I got there. But yeah, it at first it's lonely because like you said, you don't. Everybody knows each other. They're all local guys, right? And probably best advice is what you said, Kaiden, is just get your nose in there, talk to people, introduce yourself, just be friendly, right? And try to immerse yourself in the culture of the team and get to know guys, right?
So, since you guys were both at JUCO, and so now you have both transferred to new schools, was doing it a second time easier than doing it the first time?
Absolutely.
Second time was no problem at all.
Yeah. I personally, like, I didn't even want to go to school 3 hours from my house, let alone leave home alone, just because I like being where I'm at so much. I really can't even imagine what it would be like to go play in a whole new country.
Yeah,
So, like, I just, I don't know. I kind of want to dive in on kind of what that's like and how tough that must be. Um, Nobody really understands how tough that must be to go to a new country. I know it's Canada to America, so it's not like it's not the biggest deal, but it still is a big deal. Going to a new country is different. The culture's different. Everything's different. I don't know. That's really cool. I'm glad
yeah.
you guys shared a lot of those things. It's like I said, I can't even imagine just going to a new country. It's got to be a super hard experience.
It
And
it
you
was.
guys have definitely done a great job of kind of assimilating, I guess.
Yeah, it was tough because like you move away, right? You're basically moved out at 18, right? You don't have your parents to cook you dinners anymore. You're away you're away from home. You can't go 10 minutes home to pick something up anymore. You kind of relying on yourself at that point. So
It was kind of nice for me because I kind of had like a couple like little stepping stones along the way. Because in my junior year, I went to France for a week and a half with my class just for a trip over Easter break, and then my senior year I went to academy, which is 3 hours from home. And during the spring and the fall, like when we were playing a bunch of games, I didn't get home at all. So like being there, I was like still with like a host family. So I got the feel for being away from my actual family while not being on my own. So it kind of made it easier when I took that step and left on my own. But I will always remember sitting in my history class, and I don't remember which one it was. It was either Mark or Manny Montez, and they looked at me and they said, "So what kind of music do you listen to in Canada?" Like in my head, I was just like, "I listen to Florida Georgia Line just like you guys do. Like it's all the same."
Yeah, how often do you guys experience that?
all the time.
Just like uh just things like that, like people don't understand that like Canada's really not that much different at all. Just
Yeah,
like stereotypes, things like that. Like how often do you guys encounter that?
you
Every time
guys
I meet
think
a
we're
new
a whole
person.
Yeah.
you guys think
And
we're a whole different planet up there.
yeah, I mean I would say that's pretty accurate for most Americans.
It was kind of funny when I went to New York. I came back and I picked up all this like Western New York kind of slang. Like I started like saying dead ass, bro. Like just things like
Hmm.
that. Like that's not a word here. Like no one knows what that means.
That's
And
a New
I thought,
York thing for the
yeah.
most part.
And I thought I lost a little bit of like my what's it called? Like I stopped sounding I didn't sound Canadian as much, and then I went to Kentucky, and let me tell you, that's a whole different ballpark being down there compared to New York. And they just looked at me like, "Where are you from?" Like,
Yeah,
you
because
sound right.
at Niagara we're right across the border, so it's like it's not uncommon or anything. It's normal. But like down there, it's probably they I don't know. They probably think you're from a whole nother planet.
Yeah, at home when they ask me where I'm from, I'm like Lloydminster, and most people are like, "Okay, yeah, I kind of have an idea where that is." Down there, I can't say my city. I say Alberta, and they're like, "Is that by Toronto?" I'm like, "No, it's
It's
like above
not even
Montana.
close.
Like it's the total opposite side of the continent."
Not even close.
No. And then you run into some random guy, and he's like, "Oh yeah, my daughter used to live in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan." I'm like, for what purpose?
That's awesome. This is awesome stuff. How do you like how do you guys deal with that? Like when people ask you stupid questions like that, like how do you even deal with that? How do you cuz you guys say you get it all the time. So how do you deal with those kind of things?
Honestly, I kind of laugh and just join in with them. Or I'll just answer the question honestly, because there's some stuff I don't know about the U.S. and I get it, but sometimes I just gotta sit there and laugh at some of the things that I'm asked.
Yeah, I'm the
Yeah.
same way. Most people I meet, they think I look kind of mean, so and I'm also kind of shy, so for the most part, I don't have a lot of new people coming up to me. So a lot of these questions I get are from people I'm already like pretty close to, and I can just look at them and be like, "You're an idiot."
Yeah, same here.
I've probably been on I've probably asked you guys some stupid questions over the years. I couldn't think of any, but I probably have.
Yeah, there's probably too many to remember.
I try not to ask dumb questions, but like I don't know, some people here like really don't know what it's like up there.
Yeah, my dad, he lived in Kansas City in Texas for a little bit, and he's just like, I learned nothing about the world. I only learned about U.S. crap. Like that's all. He's
Hmm.
like, like they don't learn a lot about the stuff that happens outside their borders. Like you definitely have a greater understanding of like all the world wars and that this and that. They probably have a better understanding of like the Vietnam War,
Hmm.
but you probably have like a greater worldly knowledge than they do. They really focus on themselves. That's what he got from American education, I guess.
Yeah, you learn more about the states. Like I've never learned any Canadian history in class.
Well, like it was weird in my grade 10 history class, we had to list every country in each continent on a map, and then when we got to the U.S. Like we obviously didn't have to do Canada, but we got to the U.S. and we had to list every single state on a map.
Which like most Americans can't even do. Like I probably can't even do that.
I mean, the Northeast is tough. There's so much stuff up there, and then
Yeah, all
the
those little
Midwest
ones
all
up
kind of
there.
runs together. Like I don't know where Kansas starts and Missouri ends. I don't even know if they touch.
Yeah, makes sense. I don't know. It's a mystery. All right. I don't really have anything else like question wise. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? I want this to be for you guys, just like talking about your experiences from going from Canada to America. If you guys have anything.
I mean, out here, anyways, a lot of people get um, a lot more respect and acknowledgement almost like when you're a hockey player. Like I have countless friends that played in the Western Hockey League, and then I had a couple buddies in the farm system for Minnesota and the LA Kings, and those people like definitely get a lot more like notice kind of thing out here. So I feel like a lot of kids find a hard time embracing a sport that doesn't um, like get a lot of notice. Like I have a couple. Like I know a girl who went to a JUCO in Florida, I think, and that was the first person that I actually saw like have anything about her on the news for like going to play a post-secondary sport in the States, basically, that wasn't hockey.
Yeah, so other sports like not hockey, they don't really get that much exposure.
Yeah,
which
like
kind of stinks because I mean, you guys are doing some really awesome things, and I wish you guys got kind of more exposure for it. And that's another reason why I wanted to do this, just to get you guys some more exposure.
and I think a lot of kids turn away from baseball because like they have these friends who are like, oh yeah, like I'm a projected first round pick in the WHL draft, and he's like, I'd rather just go play baseball, but like no one really cares about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, I like,
It's
I don't
just
know.
a joke.
I
That's
want
all.
to personally, I want to learn more from myself too, just personally. Like, I never really cared much about Canada, to be honest, until I met you guys in college, and now I have a lot more Canadian friends. And like, I don't know. I guess I enjoy Canada now. I like meeting Canadian people. I like going to Canada. I like going across the border. I think it's awesome. Like, all the Canadian people that I've met are awesome people. So I don't know. I guess I've just had a lot more respect now, and I kind of have a new perspective on Canada, and just how, I don't know, just kind of what I talked about earlier, how tough it is for you guys, where baseball might not be the most popular thing to do. And like you just said, how like you really don't even get any recognition for baseball at all. But just going to a new country, going to a new environment and a new culture, and just embracing the sport that you love is pretty awesome. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I could go on all night about this, but
Yeah,
anything else you guys want to say?
I'm glad I did get the opportunity to play baseball in the U.S. and I'm glad that the opportunity was there for me to go experience something like that. It was a once in a lifetime kind of opportunity and something I will never live to regret. So,
What
and,
would be your favorite parts about playing here?
I think it's the new friends for sure, and the just the like I'd say the definitely the just whole experience, the idea of playing with a new team, going to see new things, travel to all these states, like in the U.S. To play the game you love, right? And all of it was just such a great opportunity for me and helped me advance in my life and helped me learn new things that I can apply to daily activities and getting becoming a better person as I move into the future, kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. Especially like the going and seeing new things. Like I went to Alabama for some games this year and I had never been to Alabama before, and I always just kind of expected like be like this prairie kind of land and all these hicks everywhere because what everyone says about Alabama. And we drove into Birmingham and it was just these hills everywhere, and I thought it looked so pretty. You know, I loved the place. I thought it looked awesome. But I would also have to throw weather into there because I love being able to technically wear shorts all year round and not have to wear a 30-pound coat to go to my car.
Yeah, I mean, you get more of that in Kentucky than you do up here, even in
Well,
Niagara
even New
Falls.
York, like it never got that cold in Niagara. Honestly, there's a couple days where like with the wind it got chilly, but and you got a good chunk of snow, but it was still usually like I could go outside in just like a light coat or sweater.
Yeah, you guys
Yeah,
get hit
definitely.
hard in Alberta.
Yeah, when COVID hit there and I came home, I had like 3 weeks of shoveling in like minus 30-degree weather.
And that's in like March too, right? In March,
Yeah, it was March.
mid-March.
Like my mom's like, "Don't leave the house. You're gonna get your car stuck." I was like, "I mean, it's March, but I guess I will. Yeah, there's 4 feet of snow."
Yeah, so I actually just thought of something else that I want to talk about going off of that. So, like, you guys are competing with American kids for schools. how do you kind of like, because the weather's so bad, how do you kind of stay, I don't know, like keep practicing? How do you keep getting better and keep practicing and kind of edging out those kids for scholarships and stuff?
Well, uh, at our school, like up here, we've got a bunch of indoor facilities that have started opening up with the growth of baseball. Um, the travel teams are able to practice all winter long. Sure, we have the limitations of having to be inside, but there's still things that we're able to do inside that allow us to keep getting better, um, and train for the sport that we love to do. Um, like I right now I'm training, like I'm coaching right now, and we have our guys working inside 3 days a week in the winter, and they're able to come in on their own, do their own work. So some guys are working 6 days a week, just swinging in the cage for an hour, 2 hours, and getting a lift in for another hour, 2 hours while working on ground balls as well. So there's plenty of opportunity for you to get better in Canada. It's just a matter of making the most of it with the limitations that we might have.
Yeah, I'm coaching right now too, and we got the same thing. We actually just got a brand new indoor facility with all that stuff in it, and they can go in and do their thing. But we do share it with football. But when I was growing up, every Saturday, me and two of my best friends would get up at like 6 in the morning and drive 3 hours to probably the most made fun of city in Canada, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, to play there, to just work on pitching and hitting. And like we had this guy drive from 2 hours the other way, and all these kids would just kind of meet up, and we get coached like basically like a clinic basically every Saturday for a couple hours, and turn around and drive 3 hours home. And that was the only way that I really could focus on baseball all year round, was driving 6 hours every Saturday.
Yeah, so I don't know what I'm kind of getting is that the opportunities are there. They're just kind of harder to find.
Yeah, especially because you don't play high school baseball, right?
Yeah. So you guys have to focus more on travel ball and those things, and you guys kind of have to get in those facilities all the time, and that's kind of how you improve your game and get an edge on American kids. Is that you guys kind of just have to? It's harder to do, but it is possible.
Yeah, it's it's for sure possible. Um, just got to make sure you get in there. There's plenty of opportunities to do it though. It's the only honestly the only difference is we're not able to be on a ball field all year. We have to work in the indoor stuff for 7 months of the year instead.
I will say that there's a lot of people out there right now saying how it's really good to be a multi-sport athlete, and in Canada, it's almost hard not to be a multi-sport athlete growing up because you can't. It's hard to do baseball all the time unless you like really focus in on it. So most of the time, those kids who are like playing hockey during the winter and baseball during the summer are still getting like better, and they're getting more athletic. It might not be better at baseball, but they're being a better overall athlete. So at the same time, they're still getting better at baseball, I guess, without focusing on baseball.
Yeah, definitely the multi-sport aspect as well. Like I played, you're gonna laugh, but I played badminton in high school.
Oh
Really,
no, badminton's the best. I
my
love badminton.
hand helped my hand-eye coordination a lot. And I played volleyball in the fall.
Me too.
Um,
Volleyball's awesome.
and I played hockey as well. So yeah, the multi-sport aspect up in Canada is also really big to get better, and you can tune all your skills doing other sports as well, to become a better athlete.
Yeah, see, this is awesome. That's I don't know. That's kind of the stuff that I was looking forward to hearing from you guys. Like that's different. Like we don't do that here. You know, like we don't play badminton for like a high school sport. Like we don't do that. Like
Remember,
and like you guys don't have high school baseball. You play badminton. Like those are the differences that I wanted to hear. Like how different it is, and like it kind of puts in perspective how hard you guys have worked as athletes to get here, and not just to get here, but to be really good college athletes too. Like you guys are awesome. You guys are really good players. And just talking about like all the stuff that we talked about so far, just like how much you guys have had to endure in terms of moving and maybe not having baseball all the time, and just how impressive it is that you guys are really successful college athletes.
Yeah, you definitely got to make the best of what you're given when you are trying to play baseball in college, being from Canada.
It's a really rewarding experience, I will say, for sure.
Yep.
All of it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are really good ball players, and it really doesn't matter where you're from in terms of talent. But I don't know, just with all the Canadian kids that I've met, just like being from Canada, like that just kind of makes you who you are as a person, as a player. And I think that helps you guys almost, that when you come over here, you kind of have a little bit of an edge. You kind of, would you guys agree that like you kind of want to prove American kids wrong a little bit, and that maybe you're a little better, and you kind of have that edge? Would you guys agree?
Well, yeah. Well, when you get there, you've got to make yourself stand out, right? Because coaches are seeing the American guy and they see the Canadian guy, and more times than not, they might choose the American guy that they've seen far more than the Canadian guy. So you got to make yourself stand out, and the only way to do that is by working hard and showing your skills and saying, "Hey, look, I'm from Canada, but I can still compete with the best of them down here." So, excuse me, but
Have you
Yeah, I
guys?
agree with that.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Caden.
And I remember having a conversation with Kling one time, and he was telling me about how he actually liked getting the Canadian guys because he knew that they were more raw. Their talent was more raw, I guess. Like there was a lot more untapped potential with those guys, just because they couldn't work outside on baseball pretty much all year round.
Yes, that I mean that it's cool. Like it gives you guys some sort of personal edge, not in like a negative, angry way, but just like a positive edge. Like, hey, you know what? Like I'm gonna come in, and maybe I didn't have as many opportunities as American kids have had, but I'm just as good as you are, if not better. And now that I'm in America and have all the same, like the same playing field, I guess, that like you can really overtake those kids. And you're seeing it now. Like you're seeing so many more Canadian kids stepping and kind of coming out of the woodwork as awesome baseball players, which is really cool to see. It's really sweet to see like how much the game has grown. And I don't think people really understand how hard you guys have had to work to get to where you are. And that's kind of what I wanted people to hear today, that you guys have had to go through a lot and endure a lot, and you guys have worked harder than people don't even know and people don't even understand. And you guys have been really successful baseball players because of it. And you guys are awesome people too. Like you guys are like, you two are two of my best friends. Like you guys are good people. You work really hard. You guys are great athletes, and it's been really cool. It's been an awesome experience to get to know the both of you and play with both of you. So is there any last comment you guys would like to make? Anything you'd like to share? Anything at all? Just being from Canada, how the American game, like just how the transition from being a Canadian baseball player growing up in Canada to going to America and playing. You guys are all good?
Um, I mean, I don't know if I see anything like different else that I want to comment on, but I talking about like the growth of the game of baseball. My friend who is with the LA Kings, I think he was probably a better baseball player than he was a hockey player. But just the fact that he was from Canada, he was almost like forced to follow hockey because he was always like playing up. He's first like second overall pick in the WHL draft. He was a early second round pick in the NHL draft, but I think he would have been like a top 5 pick out of high school for baseball, and he was just kind of forced to follow hockey because of where he lived.
Yeah, and that plays a huge role in it. So it's cool, and it's really awesome that me growing up here can share the exact same love for the game that you guys do up there, even though maybe it's not the most popular. And it's awesome that you guys decided to take that route.
Yeah, like it is growing though. Like there are kids now who are really good at hockey, and they're actually pursuing their baseball careers instead of their hockey careers.
Yeah, I hope this pandemic doesn't change that. I hope baseball up north keeps going in the right direction. Like I hope the pandemic now with the summer kids not being able to play, I hope it makes kids up north like hungrier to play baseball, and I hope somehow the game can grow even more.
Yeah, I think the game up in Canada is really thriving right now. There's so many more opportunities for guys, and the exposure's there, and there's like I said, there's just opportunities upon opportunities being made for people now be able to pursue their goals of playing college baseball. It's really good to see it grow, especially as a coach right now and seeing it from a different perspective. Um, it's really good to see guys get these opportunities and be able to move on to the next level and be able to play in the U.S.
Yeah, thank you guys for sharing everything. That was really awesome. I think it was a really cool podcast to do, and I learned a lot from you guys as well. Um, you guys, hockey's usually always the bigger sport, and you guys chose baseball. You guys found baseball. You went to America, you changed countries, and you guys are still successful athletes. You guys have been through a lot, and it's really cool. I really want people to hear just how different and similar it is being from Canada, even though you're here. It doesn't, no matter what school you're at here, no matter what country you're from, everybody's chasing the same thing. No matter what school you go to, like if you're Canadian and I'm American, we're at the same school, we're still chasing the same thing. We're still playing the same game, which is really, really cool. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this. I'm going to try and share it as much as I can. I really want people to hear this. I think it was really awesome. So thank you guys for coming on, and take care, guys.
Thank you, Casey.
Thanks, Casey. Thanks for having me.